It's April 30th, 2016, and we are going to change now to a different topic. We have been studying the book of Ruth before, and previously to that we studied Esther, and now we're going to go to the book of Daniel. Now, the book of Daniel has been done so many times, but there's a certain layer that needs to be done, because we will understand that the book of Daniel, even starting from chapter 1, is actually present truth for us. So we'll try to figure out how it can apply to us even in the end time now, starting with Daniel 1. So the picture of we know Daniel 1 is the story of when Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego refused to eat the food, the meat, and drink the wine of Babylon, right? And they were in the courts, in the what of Babylon? In the city of Babylon. And that's right here, I can show it. Yeah, I'm showing it right here. That's the gate of Ishtar. The gate of Ishtar now stands in Berlin. Yeah. All right. Okay. But first of all, we are going to do a little bit of a historical background. All right. Of what happened during the time of the siege of Babylon. Babylon, and under Nebuchadnezzar, siege Jerusalem, who was under Jehoiakim, right? Before that, before Babylon came into prominence, who was the ruler? Which country ruled basically the known earth at that time? Before Babylon, Assyria. So Assyria first ruled in the whole Mediterranean area, right? In whole of Western Asia, and Egypt, Media, and let's see. I made my notes here. We get this from Review and Herald from Review and Herald in 1898. A.T. Jones wrote this. A.T. Jones is a very good historian. He wrote this, Adventist Review and Sabbath Herald. Assyria ruled the world. And at that time, he had the countries of Media, Babylon, and Egypt decided to revolt against Assyria. So the king of Assyria had to send down his generals to subdue them. And one of his generals is called Nebuchadnezzar. Now, it may not mean anything to you right now, but Nebuchadnezzar is actually the father of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was the general of Assyria. He was sent down, and he basically was able to control Babylon. No, so Babylon was controlled by Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar became eventually the king of Babylon, that area. In the meantime, Assyria became weaker. So then now, Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar, and then also Egypt, and I guess Media. Yeah, they revolted again against Assyria. So Egypt sent Pharaoh Necho. Remember Pharaoh Necho? Who's Pharaoh Necho? And he fought the Assyrians where? At the river Euphrates. What's the name of the place? Carchemish. Remember? He fought at Carchemish. And who was the king of Israel that decided to meddle against Pharaoh Necho? And he says, why are you meddling with God? Because God had sent me. Which king? Josiah, right? This is the time They were rebelling because Egypt was rebelling against Assyria. So Assyria at that time decided to show his sovereignty, and he decided to attack Israel. Remember, Josiah died, and who's the son of Josiah that became king? Jehoahaz. What was Jehoahaz's name? Shallum, right? Shallum, which is Jehoahaz. After Josiah is Jehoahaz. But Shallum or Jehoahaz was conquered by Egypt. And because of that, he was taken where? He was taken to Egypt, right? And in his place, who did the Egyptian put as a ruler of Israel? Jehoiakim. His name was initially Eliakim, right? And they changed his name Eliakim to Jehoiakim. So Jehoiakim was put in power by the Egyptians. Right. But now what happened is Nebuchadnezzar, which is the son of Nebuchadnezzar, decided that he is going to conquer everybody now. And then he came and sieged Jerusalem at that time. And the king there was Jehoiakim. Right. Right. Yeah. But so that was the political background. So there was a big, in that area there was a lot of changes in the powers. But Babylon was now becoming the world power. It took over from Assyria, right? But Babylon then took over the crown from Israel, right? Yeah, because Israel basically took the crown of God, right? Because God was the ruler of Israel. But then it was given to Israel. And then now Babylon took that crown. And it passed it on successively to Medo-Persia, Greece, and then Rome, right? And then modern Rome. Okay, eventually modern Rome. So that is the background of Daniel 1. All right. Yeah, we will, let's see. Okay, let me go. All right, before we go to Daniel 1, we have to review something first, which is the three angels' message. Three angels' messages. Remember this, right? What is the first angel's message? Fear God, give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment is come, and worship Him that made heaven and earth, right? Sea and the fountains of water. So the first angel's message is fear, glory, judgment, and worship. Fear, glory, judgment, and worship. Is that prophetically significant? Everything is prophetically significant. You know what? Now, when you read the Bible, just think there's some prophetic significance about that. All right, fear, glory, judgment, and worship. What's the second angel's message? Babylon is fallen. Is fallen. Second angel's message: fallen is fallen. Right? And what's the third angel's message? If any man worship the beast and this image, he will have to drink the wine of the wrath of God, right? That is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Okay, all right. What's the first angel's message? Remember. Now, I'm going to tell you, a lot of our friends When we ask them what's the three angels' message, they can't recite it to you. I wasn't able to recite it. I can't tell you what the three angels' messages are. All right? This is very, very troublesome, because this is what we are going to have to give. Oh, we give the three angels' message. What is the three angels' message? Isn't it go to all the world and be a, Wait a minute, that's not the three angels' message. Baptize ye the name. Wow, I can't believe it. All right. All right. You got to preach the three angels' message. Three angels' message is present truth. All right. Okay. We have to put that into a timeline, right? First angel's message, second angel's message, three angels' message, right? Okay. All right. When was the first angel's message given? Oh, well, the first angel's message is what? Fear God, give glory to him, for the hour of judgment is come, worship him, right? What's the second angel's message? Babylon is fallen, is fallen. Third angel's message, whoever worship the beast and the image, the drink of the wine of the wrath that's poured without mixture into his cup of indignation, all right? Okay. All right, now when was it given? Now this, you gotta, we'll go into a little bit more details. The first angel's message, when was it really first given? Remember our 1798, right? It was first given by William Miller in what year? 1798. So what happened on August 11, 1840? What happened to the first angel's message? It was empowered. How was it empowered? When they predicted that the Ottoman Empire was going to fall, right? So that's the first angel's message. And the first angel's message, William Miller was preaching, Jesus is going to come. Jesus is going to come. Your judgment is going to be here. Fear God, basically, right? Fear God. The first angel's message is fear God. All right. The second angel's message was given.
1944.
Oh, yeah, I should change that. 1844. Yeah. Oh, good thing you caught it. Well, we'll change it. Okay. We'll make sure that's not 1944. That's April 19, 1844. Now, this is the fulfillment of which time prophecy? August 11, 1840. Fulfillment of what time prophecy? 391 days and 391 years and 15 days. April 19, 1844 is the fulfillment of which time prophecy? Oh no. Right. This is the first day of the first month of the 1844. This is actually the end of the 1335 time prophecy, right? Because the 1335 ends in 1843, at the end of 1843. Then those who wait will receive a blessing, right? And the tearing time starts right here. And this is the first day of the first month. And according to Ezra 7:9, what did they do on the first day of the first month? They came out of Babylon. Babylon is fallen. You come out of Babylon, right? So that is why April 19, 1844 is the second angel's message. Babylon is coming. Babylon is fallen. Ezra 7:9 says they come out of Babylon on the first day of the first month. The first day of the first month is April 19, 1844. That's the first disappointment. They thought Jesus was gonna come there, but they were wrong. So they were first disappointed. Now it was previously also taught that in May and June of 1842, there was a closed door and the second angel's message was given at that time. What happened in May and June of 1842? Remember? We studied this before. The Protestants closed their door, right? But how did they close their door? How did they close their door? They rejected what? The chart, the 1843 chart, right? They published the chart in May, and then in June they rejected those charts, and they effectively closed their door. But their door was not officially closed until the second angel's message was given on April 19, 1844. Okay. So, when was the second angel's message empowered? When was it empowered? When was it given power? August 15, 1844. What happened then? Is the Camp Exeter camp meeting, right? And the midnight cry was given. So this is the midnight cry. This is the second angel's message. This is the second angel's message being empowered, right? And then they realized that the third angel's message, they thought that Jesus was going to come on October 22, 1844, but that was really the third angel's message, right? Okay, so we have this. This is a review. This is obviously a review, right? Yeah, review. Okay. Okay, well, what happened then something happened in 1846. Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we'll put that into perspective now. For our time, this is 9/11. Now look at 9/11 is actually a combination of the first angel's message and the second angel's message. So this and this combined becomes 9/11. All right? The midnight cry is the second angel's message and the third angel's message combined. The midnight cry right here. This is the Sunday law. The third angel's message is repeated. It's empowered, right? Because the third angel's message has not been empowered before. It will be empowered when the real image of the beast and the beast and the image of the beast is worshipped, right? Okay, add the Sunday law. Okay. Right, well, we're going to have it right now. Now, the first angel's message is fear God, give glory, judgment, and worship. This is what was called a fractal, right? This is a fractal of the whole three angels' message. All right, fear God. Fear God is right here as the first angel's message. Give glory. What happened at the midnight cry that they can glorify Jesus? Right? What do they have to do? They have to have the robe of righteousness because they can enter into the marriage, right? You have to enter into the marriage. You have to have the robe of righteousness. You have to be able to be able to glorify God at that time. Okay, because we understand when the midnight cry happens, are the 5 wise virgins, are they already set? They are set. Yeah, the wise are set. They are set. They have enough oil. They are going to go in for sure, right? So here they effectively, probation is closed for them. They are set. So fear, glory, judgment when happens? At the Sunday law, right? That's when the judgment is. And then here is, so this is worship. Worship is 1846. Now, this is the thing that is a little bit a new concept for us. Jackie already told us already, because obviously we were studying together. What happened in 1846? On August 30, 1846, I was united in marriage to Elder James White. Ellen White was married. So there's a marriage here. And what happened also in 1846? In autumn of 1846, we began to observe this Bible Sabbath and to teach and defend it. This is when they started to keep the Sabbath, right? Worship. So fear God, give glory, and your judgment. This is really the third angel's message. So the third angel's message in the big picture is right up here. The first angel's message also is a summary of the big picture, right? Do you see that? This is the first angel's message right here, but it's actually a summary of the whole three angels' message. You see that? So it's a summary of the big picture. All right? Okay. Yeah, it is a fractal. So this is a fractal. This really is a fractal, because from here to here is a fractal of this whole thing. Right? It's a fractal of the whole thing. It's really a summary. All right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So what is another thing that happens at the time of marriage? This is obvious for those women who have undergone through this experience. But what happens to your name? You're changed. There's a name change here, right? 1846. Remember, name changes are prophetically significant, right? Because it means you enter into covenant, right? Name change. So there's a marriage, there's a observance of the Sabbath, and there's a name change right there. Well, we know there's name changes here. There's a name change here, okay? But here also, okay. All right. Now we see that Daniel 12 here, verse 9 to 10, this is actually the experience of the Millerites from 1798 to October 22, 1844. This is the experience of the 10 virgins, right? What happens to the 10 virgins? And he said, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end." Now, the time of the end is for the Millerites is October 22, 1844. For us, it's the Sunday law. That's the time of the end. And so this is their experience up until the time of the end, because at that time they will be purified, made white, and tried, right? Purified, made white, and tried. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise will understand. What is it that the wise will understand? Daily, 1290 and 3035. They will understand prophecy, right? So that Daniel will stand in the lot, right? So that's basically this is the end of the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel ends with Daniel standing on his lot. And when Daniel is standing on his lot, he's standing at the judgment. And at his judgment, now he's standing. Well, he's actually dead. How could he be standing? Well, he has to be standing spiritually, right? Because he's standing spiritually because all the people that have been studying his prophecies now understand it. So now Daniel is like he's vindicated. All his prophecies that he's been saying all along, now there's people who actually can vindicate and really tell the world what it means, right? Because they will understand. It's the wise that will understand. So we'll put that on the line right here. Purified, made white, and tried, right? Right? Purified, you made white, and tried. Tried obviously is very easy. Tried is this is your time of judgment. Right? Tried, time of judgment. White also is the color of your raiment, right? You're glorified. Okay, right? We'll put another verse, John 16. Now this is what Jesus said. I have to go to heaven, and when I go to heaven, that is when I will send the Comforter. And the Comforter will convict you of sin, righteousness, and of judgment, right? This is the work of the Holy Spirit, right? The messages of the three angels are all given through the Holy Spirit, but is given to the world by messengers, which is people. But the messages come to those people through the Holy Spirit, right? Which is the Comforter, which is the Spirit of Jesus. So it comes from Jesus, right? Okay, so now we put sin, righteousness, and judgment, right? Sin, so you're purified of sin, right? You fear God and you have to purify yourself. Who was purified right here, starting 9/11, prophetically in the story? Who was purified for 6 months and then 6 months? Esther, right? Purified, remember? Right? So right here, when we know the story of Esther fits right there. Esther is purified at this time. And then at the midnight cry, white and righteousness, right? The white robe of righteousness, right there. Because now they have to be get ready to go to the marriage, and this is they're tried, and this is their judgment. So you'll see all these are the experiences of the Millerites, and it's gonna be our experience too. 9/11, midnight cry, and Sunday law, right? So the first angel's message, that's basically the first angel's message here. First angel's message is a summary of the whole three. Okay, this here is a summary of this whole three. So it's as if this three can be condensed, right? Those three, I can actually put it there. Oh, nice, the other way. All right, those three, this three here can be condensed right in this place right there. From here to here can be condensed here, between here and here. Okay. All right. Now we start with Daniel 1. Remember how the book of Daniel ends? How does the book of Daniel end? With Daniel standing in his lot. How does the book of Daniel start? Remember, there's a war between Nebuchadnezzar and the rest of the world, and Nebuchadnezzar is going to conquer the whole world, and Nebuchadnezzar conquers Jerusalem. So Babylon conquers Jerusalem, right? That's the beginning of Daniel 1, right? What's the ending of Daniel? Daniel 12. Who conquers who? New Jerusalem conquers modern Babylon, right? Yeah. So we see the end of the great controversy. All right. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim. What was Jehoiakim's real name? Eliakim. And he was changed to Eliakim by the Egyptians, right? But then he was conquered by Nebuchadnezzar. The king of Judah came, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. So the king of Babylon conquered the king of Judah unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. All right. Okay. Just to make sure we understand the prophetic significance of this, Jehoiakim is the king and ruler of Israel, and he is conquered, right? Right. Well, at that time, Israel is no more, right? Yeah. Right. Israel no more. So when you say Israel, now Israel is left only to the Judah, but it's really Judah. But Israel is really gone. But Israel is only now Judah. So the king of Judah, he is the king. He is the leader. What happens at this time? The king is. What happens to the king? Is he right? Is God using him to be the bearer of his truth to the world? It's supposed to be. What happens to him? God is not using him. Instead, who does God use to carry the first angel's message to the world? Daniel, right? Do you see why this is prophetically significant? So we know now who is being bypassed to carry the first angel's message to the world. The leader of Israel. Do you see this? The leader of Israel. And who is now being entrusted by God to carry the first angel's message? Yeah. Young boys. Right. Young boys to okay. All right. Now you see, this is the Daniel 1 verse 1 talks about Jehoiakim being conquered by Nebuchadnezzar. Look at Ezekiel. Ezekiel 1 verse 2. Who is conquered in Ezekiel 1 verse 2? Jehoiakim. Right? And look at you see that? In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, he was conquered by Nebuchadnezzar also, right? Who comes after Jehoiakim? Which king is conquered by Nebuchadnezzar? The last king of Judah? Zedekiah, right? Look at this. This is quite interesting. I didn't realize this, but Daniel 1 verse 1 is Jehoiakim being conquered. Ezekiel 1 verse 2 is Jehoiachin. So, you know what? If the Bible is consistent, Jeremiah 1 verse 3 should talk about Zedekiah being conquered. Quite amazing. Jeremiah 1 verse 3. And it came also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah. He was carried away into Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. You know, is that that's quite unusual, but you know yeah. So if you can see these things, you're gonna increase your God is increasing your your understanding of the way God actually hides these things for you to find out, so that you'll understand that these are the first angel's message. Because Daniel 1 verse 1 is actually talking about Jehoiakim. Ezekiel 1 verse 2 is talking about Jehoiachin. And then Jeremiah 1 verse 3 is talking about Zedekiah. So Jehoiakim is the first angel's message. Jehoiachin is the second angel's message. Zedekiah is the third angel's message. Daniel is first angel's message. Ezekiel is second angel's message. And Jeremiah is third angel's message. As a matter of fact, Daniel 1 is a fractal of the first angel's message. It's kind of amazing, because when you read Daniel 1, you realize it's talking about fear God, give glory, and the judgment. All right. Yeah. So now you know we are seeing now these are the kind of things that we didn't get to study before. We studied it very superficially. Everybody knows the story of Daniel. We studied the book of Daniel, the story of Daniel, even when we were in cradle roll. All right? Yeah. All right. So now the other thing is that one thing to remember, the first message and the second message. There's something significant about the second message here, because the white robe of righteousness is something that a message that can be visually seen, right? The second message is usually a visual test, right? It's always a visual test. And also the book of Ezekiel It's all showing about those wheels, the seraphims, and all that is quite visual, right? The third is always about judgment, but the second is a test. Just like the story of obviously Noah, right? The third test is when the door is closed. But what was the second test that was visual for the antediluvians, for the people? The animals coming in, right? That was their second test. They saw because the first test was they saw the ark being finished. They saw the ark being finished, and their second test was the animals come in. So it was a very visual test for them. And the third test, that's done. They cannot make up any. If they were to make up their mind, they have to do it between here and here. Here, this is already their character is only is revealed, right? They make up their character between here and here. Here, that's it. They no more character changing, no more make up in your mind, because your mind is already made up right there. It's done. Okay. Let's see. What else did I write down here? The king of Israel, right? Remember, the king of Israel is the king of Judah was conquered, and the responsibility of giving the gospel was given to Daniel, right? It's the same thing as the story of Saul, right? Saul. This is when. So we realize that Daniel 1 starts at 9/11. Daniel 1 starts at 9/11, and Jehoiakim is bypassed, is not used. Instead of Daniel Daniel is being used. Who else is bypassed here at 9/11? The story of Saul, right? What happened to Saul at 9/11? Why was he bypassed? And which is very obvious. The reason what happened, he was bypassed, and what did he do? He went to the witch of Endor, and he went into spiritualism, right? Right? Because we're at 9/11, the leadership went into spiritualism, right? Yeah, Eliah and Samuel, right? Eliah was bypassed. Why was Eliah bypassed? Because the Chaldon vision was scarce at that time. He did not have the ability to, right? He was not following God's commandment. He did not rule his household, right? And his sons were wicked, right? He did not rule his household, and his sons were wicked. And the thing about it, that happens right here, because Samuel was called right here. Okay. Anyway, the thing to remember is that there's leaders being bypassed, and young boys were taken to become just like David and Samuel, and obviously Daniel and the 4 boys. Okay. This is also the decree of Cyrus, which is for our time what we considered the Patriot Act, and also the decree given of, right? Another thing that 9/11, you can say there was it's not really a decree, but you can say that there was a decree made that all pastors have to pass spiritual formation. Right there, right? It was in September 2001, right? So if this is Cyrus, this is Darius. What kind of decree is given here? This is the beginning of the Sunday laws. The image of the beast test. Image of the beast test starts here, right? When we are seeing that coming up, we know that the Sunday laws is going to start. But here is the Artaxerxes decree, and that's going to be the national Sunday law. The Sunday laws is going to start here, and the national Sunday law is going to be here. This is the first, second, and third angels' messages. Okay. So we go back. Jehoiakim was taken. Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, Abednego was taken. And what else was taken? The vessels of the house of God was also taken. All right. Now, this is a prophecy. This is actually a fulfillment of prophecy. What prophecy was being fulfilled right here? That the vessels of the house of God is going to be taken to Babylon. What prophecy was actually fulfilled? Remember the prophecy? Which prophecy was being fulfilled? It says, you know what? Your vessels and your riches is going to be taken to Babylon. Which prophecy was that? Somebody gave a prophecy. There's a prophet that gave a prophecy. You know what? Because of this, your vessels are going to be taken to Babylon. There's a king, right? It's a king. It's Hezekiah. Right, it's Hezekiah. It's in Isaiah 39. Remember Hezekiah? He was sick. And then he says, oh, heal me. And God healed him. And he says, you know what? I want a sign. What was the sign? He wanted a sign that the sun would stop. He said, no, I want it better than that. I want the sun to even go back 10 degrees. So what happened when the sun went back 10 degrees? The Babylonians. Wait, because the Babylonians, what are they? They're the best astrologers in the world, right? And they said, wait a minute, how could the sun go back 10 degrees? And they heard that it was because Hezekiah was healed. So they said, okay, let's go to him and see what happened, right? And when they went to see, what did Hezekiah do? He showed all the riches of his own riches. Instead of glorifying God, he says, who healed him, and this is the reason why the sun was held back. He showed all his riches, including Solomon's temple, right? And all the riches, everything he showed. And then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord of hosts. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house and that which thy fathers have laid up in store until this day shall be carried to Babylon. Right? Nothing shall be left, said the Lord. And what else? And thy sons that shall issue from thee will be what? Eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Is that a prophecy? Yes. Because who eventually became eunuchs in the palace of Babylon? Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego. Right. Wow. So that's a fulfillment. This up here is a fulfillment of this prophecy, okay? That was given by Isaiah to Hezekiah. That his treasures, which is the vessels of the house, and his sons are going to be all taken to Babylon. And the king spake to Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, right? That he should bring certain of the children of Israel and the king's seed, right? The king's seed. Remember, he said, you're going to go there, even your seed is going to go to Babylon. And of the princes, children in whom there was no blemish, well-favored and skillful in all wisdom, cunning and knowledge, understanding science, had ability to stand in the king's palace, whom they might teach the learned and the tongue of the Chaldeans. All right. Okay, yeah. So it was already prophesied that their children is going to be taken to become eunuchs, right? No, there's a lot more. As a matter of fact, there was a lot more from other countries. Because remember Nebuchadnezzar, he conquered the whole area, everybody, and all of them. He took the best of them to to Babylon, right? He got the best, the cream of the crop. He took over there so that he can teach them his customs. Okay, now let's see. All right, let's see what does I do. Okay. This is also a prophecy that has been given by Moses. Which prophecy was given by Moses that is fulfills this? Daniel 1 verse 3 and 4. That the children will be made captive. Right? It's in 25:20. Right? In Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26, there's how many 25:20s are there? 4. 4 25:20s, right? Because it's for 4 generations. For Manasseh, for Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and Zedekiah. The second one is for, the second 7 times is actually for Jehoiakim. Because there's 4 generations. It's for the 4 generations of Israel. And if ye walk contrary unto me, remember Leviticus 26? That's 25:20, right? If ye walk contrary to me and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. I will send wild beasts among you. Wild beasts is the countries. When he attacked, he didn't attack by himself. What did he do? He used other countries to attack Judah. So those were the wild beasts, because beasts are countries. Remember? Right. Well, he conquered them first. So now they actually have to work for him. So they now went and conquered. So a lot of the other countries helped him to conquer Jerusalem. And what did he do? Which shall rob you of your children, right there. This is Leviticus. So Moses already prophesied. This is also a prophecy of Isaiah and a prophecy of Moses. And this is the second 7 times. Now this is the second of the 4. Okay? 4 7 times. Now remember, the prophecy to Hezekiah was that it is your seed that is going to go down. Right? Was David a descendant of royalty? He was actually a descendant of Hezekiah. Right? Because who said that? Ellen White said in manuscript releases, the Lord will call men of high and low degree to do his bidding. The prophet Daniel was a man of royal birth and noble heritage. He was a descendant, actually a descendant of Hezekiah. Right? Right. Okay. So God can use all kinds of people. Royal, high ranking. Isaiah and Daniel were of royal birth. Right? So this is that the prophecy that was given by Isaiah to Hezekiah, that your seed, meaning there's going to be royal seed that's going to be taken. All right. And going to become eunuchs. All right. Now, what does it mean that Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego are taken and becoming eunuchs in Babylon? What does it mean to be a eunuch? Well, physically, they cannot have any more ring. What does that mean spiritually, though? What does meaning being that they're the last? What? They will be the last generation, right? Do you realize that? They're the 4th generation. Why are there 4? Because they're the 4th generation. And the 4th generation is the what generation? Is the last generation. Why are they the last generation? Because they cannot reproduce anymore physically, but they are the last generation. For us, we're the last generation. For Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego, they have been castrated. Right? Yeah. They become eunuchs. Daniel, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego were eunuchs. They don't want these people who work for them propagating their seed in under their eyes. Yeah. The thing about it is that spiritually is very significant because they are the last generation, right? It is the last generation. And there's four of them. It's four generations. There's four 25/20s being given. There's four of them, and they're the last generation. So you realize it's actually this Daniel 1 is present truth for us because it's for us too. If we believe that we are and living in the time of the last generation, right? We are eunuchs spiritually, because it ends here, right? No more. It does not propagate anymore, right? Because the truth will eventually culminate here, right? The buck stops here. You will eventually know all truth, right? What does that happen? The midnight cry. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. Verse 5 to 7. And the king appointed them a daily provision of king's meat and wine, which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years. So how many years were they supposed to be taught to learn the ways of the Chaldeans? 3 years. And at the end, therefore, they might stand before the king. And what does it mean? They're going to stand before the king? Yeah, they're going to be judged. Their judgment. So their judgment, all right? Remember where the judgment is? They're going to be judged, all right? So the end of the 3 years is going to be their judgment. And among those were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. So what happened to them? They have a change in name. All right. Okay. So every time you have a name change, right, it's prophetically significant, right? And their name is changed to Belteshazzar, Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego. All right. Who had name changes also? Remember? Jacob had name change. Who else had name changes? Abram and Sarai. Abraham to Sarah. What was Jacob's name changed to? Israel. Remember? Who else had name changes? We just studied. Yeah, Saul to Paul. Who else? We just studied in the book of Ruth. Who had a name change? We just studied in the book of Ruth. Who had a name change? All right. From Naomi to Mara. Remember? Right. There's another one. This is very obvious. Is Simon Peter, right? All right. His name was Simon Bar Jonah. It becomes Simon Peter. It becomes Peter. It's Simon Bar Jonah. All right. They all had name changes. Okay. What does it mean when you have a name change? Right. You're called by God's name, right? What happened at the time you enter into covenant? At that time, what thy words were found, and I did eat them. And thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart. So what was it that Daniel and Sadrach, Mesach, and Abednego refused? They refused the what? The meat and the wine of Babylon. But what did they want to eat? The word of God, right? Yeah. What is the word of God being given at 9/11? The little book, right? So this is the little book. When you eat the little book, you're eating the pulse and drinking the water, right? And refusing the wine of Babylon. So starting 9/11, we're going to refuse the wine of Babylon. Wow. You realize you are refusing the wine of Babylon. Are we refusing the wine of Babylon now? Absolutely. It is literal and spiritual. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. Well, the prince of the eunuchs liked him. Well, for one thing, he's smart. He has a backbone. Yeah, they're all good looking, and they're very intelligent. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my Lord. Oh, what there's a fear that comes. So because Daniel had purpose in his heart, what was the effect that it made to the prince of the eunuchs? It caused him to have what? Fear. Okay? It's fear. His fear was that I fear that you're not going to flourish if you don't eat the king's meat and drink his wine, right? Yeah. Right? I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse like than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. Oh, I'm also fearing my life. Right? So the Millerites were to eat the little book on August 11, 1840. So also the remnant is to eat the little book at 9/11, just like Daniel was going to eat his pulse and drink the water at that time, because he's standing at 9/11 at this time. So we now know that right here, Daniel is standing at 9/11, right? Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. So he says, we have 3 years here before we have to go in front of the king. But what? The first 10 days, prove us first. Right? And there's this is all prophetic. These are significant, right? So there's a 10 days here. You prove us. You have to prove us, and then after that, we're going to be proven in front of the king, right? So there's a proving time here, and then there's a judgment time. All right? All right. So there's a 10 days, and there's a 3 years. All right. Okay. Then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. Right? So prove us, and then what? Look upon us. What is it? Look upon and be looked upon. What is it? What is that? What kind of test is that? Yeah, it's not only a witness, but it's also a what? It's a visual test. So we know that at the end of the 10 days, there's going to be a visual test. Hey, are you going to be better than are you wise or are you foolish, right? It's a visual. So where does that put you at? That's right. That's going to be at the midnight cry, right? Doesn't that fit? You realize if the visual test is the second test, right? They put you at midnight cry, right? And then at the end of the 3 years, you're going to be judged by the king. Where does that put you at? The Sunday law, right? Yeah. So this is why you're seeing, wow, this, when you study this way, you find out there's something deeper in here. It actually is present truth for us. Daniel 1 is present to us. And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appear fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children, right? So what were they? What happened to them? They were separated. They looked different than the foolish virgins, right? Then all the children, which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and wine that they should drink and gave them pulse. So pulse is vegetables and water. As for those 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. He had understanding in visions and dreams. What does this mean? He now has the what kind of gift? What spiritual gift does he have? He has the gift of prophecy now. You're given the gift of prophecy, remember? For the priest, when do they receive their gift of prophecy? The midnight cry. Right? Right. Okay. You know what? I think we'll just make it finish here so that we'll continue next time. We'll still have to make a review next time also, and then continue next time so that we'll, instead of breaking up Daniel 1 into like a third and a fourth, 3 quarters and a quarter, like, might as well cut it in right here so that it's not that far from the end, but there's a little bit more that I'm going to add about how it's going to fit into our timeline, and about the priests, the Levites, and the Gentiles. All right? Okay. Let me... Oh, no. It's not yet. There's several more verses still, but we will continue next week. All right? Huh? Yeah, maybe watching. So we'll continue next time.